Here's an interesting proposal from Rosewill, and this one really attracted me as soon as it popped out on Amazon. And today we're gonna see what makes it really interesting. Hey guys, welcome back to our Hardware Sense channel. My name is Ivan, and today we're looking at the FBM-X7 650 by Rosewill. And what makes it interesting, as I mentioned in the intro, is the inclusion of a power supply. This is a new interesting idea that I'm seeing from them. Maybe some other companies will jump on it. They're selling it as a package. So if you buy the FBM-X7 or their X6 or their X4 model, they actually come with pre-installed power supply, and 650 indicates the wattage on the power supply. So this one comes with 650 watt 80 plus gold power supply. That is this kind of a modern day power supply because it features the 16-pin NVIDIA power line over there that you can use directly with their graphics cards. So that's very interesting to me, and that's one of the first time I see it as a package like that. Obviously, this one features a glass side panel and a lot of other things that modern cases are expected to have. So we're gonna go straight into the details. As always, I'm gonna go all around and talk about all the little things they included in this case. And if I actually can recommend this particular computer case for $120. And spoiler alert, I think for $120, having a package like that, case plus power supply, it's very compelling because that eliminates one thing for most people. Obviously 650 watts, it's not anything crazy, anything abundance, but for a mid-range build where this one is actually kind of tailored towards, this is going to be a smart decision from a lot of you. So without further ado, let's go right into the details, and of course at the end we're going to talk about it in the conclusion. So as always, I'm going to start element by element. First thing first, we have the user manual. You can see with the name of the model. Everything is outlined inside, everything that you need to know if you're not familiar how to operate all the elements, how to if you want to see the measurements, installations, stuff like that. Everything is outlined nicely. So kudos, nice little manual here that can be useful for a lot of people that are not familiar, or maybe they're building their computer for the first time. Right on the other side is the little box with all the accessories. This is housed inside the caddy, the hard drive caddy inside the case. For those of you that are looking for it, don't fret, it's there. And not a lot inside. Actually opening it right now, we have, 5 little zip ties. We have Rosewill badge. I love that they're doing actually this because the badge is nowhere on the box, on the case. If you want to put it somewhere, it's up to you. Maybe you want to stick it in here, maybe you don't want to use it at all, which is absolutely fine. And then we have a baggie with all the different screws. Nothing luxurious here. They're not marked, they're not separated, there's no box or anything like that. So don't expect anything fancy, but that's absolutely fine to fit in the budget. If they want to cut the budget somewhere, this is where it's probably better to do it. Now moving with the back side of the case, we're gonna start from the top. You see the distance here. We have about 2 inches from the roof of the case to where about the first screws on the motherboard is. So you can definitely use a 360 water cooler on top. Obviously later I'm gonna show you how the fit is gonna work with some of the thickest ones. Pre-installed, we have one of the 4 RGB fans. There are 3 in the front of the case and there's one in the back. 120 millimeter, and these output about 1200 RPMs. You see the design, and the blades are white, obviously with the RGB. It can be repositioned up and down about 1 inch, so that's good in case we have the need of more clearance on top. A little bit recession of the IO plate, which I like. We have 7 slots on this one. Unfortunately, these are the ones that you have to break off and throw away. There's no replacement. So again, one way to kind of save their budget, this is the way they do it here. And you will notice there are 2 screws right here, one on the top, one on the bottom. I've already taken them off, by the way, for ease. And this is because this whole entire plate can be repositioned to a 90 degree. So currently it's horizontally mounted GPU, and if I will show you later how we can rotate it and place it again for vertically mounted GPU. Excellent thing to see, modern feature from this case, and I'm glad they are giving us this versatility. And if I move lower, you'll see where the power supply is already mounted. Nothing special here, just a black power supply. Of course, I'm going to take this one out and see what we can find into the details on this power supply. So now moving on to the back side. Before I take this back panel off, you'll see the screws, or the mounting screws here, are metal, and if you twist them, they are capped, so they're gonna stay. I really like that feature. This is kind of a more expensive feature that used to be really only reserved to far more expensive cases. And also they have included side penetrations here for 220 millimeter fans. We already have 3 in the front that are pushing all the air inside, and if you mount any here, this is what's going to happen. The air stream will collide and it's not going to be effective. Maybe the idea here is if you have a GPU that has one of those 240 water coolers that you can mount here for exhaust, that could actually work, and I can see that happening. In fact, my 4090 by MSI has one of those, so that will be the only way I'll be using it. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it blocked off, and blocked off it is. If I take that off, you will see that there's already a magnetic filter here. Great inclusion, by the way. Otherwise, I would have had to source some kind of a filter to make sure the air does not escape easily or the dust doesn't accumulate inside. So let me take that panel off. So now that the backside is revealed, large penetration here for the CPU. You'll see on top where the cables are routed and where the motherboard screws are, the distance, plenty of space on top to route our cables. Tying points as well for zip ties all around. That's good to see. 2 slots over here for the SSD drives. If you want to place them here, all you need to do is just unscrew and lift this off, mount the SSD drive, and then place it right back in space. Even with one hand, it's easy to operate. Obviously make sure they're pointing down so the cables are right here. You see the power supply is already mounted. The power cable is kind of stuffed over here. Not a thick power cable with 650 watt power supply. We're not expecting it to be. And the rest of the cables are also tucked in here. Let's see if I can pull them out. But before I do that, just quickly looking over here, we have the hard drive caddy or cage, easily removable, one screw, slide it out, and this is probably what I'm going to do. If I'm using this case permanently, I'm going to remove this one to make sure that my air that coming from the front fan is not obstructed by anything like this. And I'm not using conventional hard drives on gaming computers anymore. For a long time, I mentioned that before, you don't need that. Get yourself an SSD or an NVMe drive. They're plenty big and not that expensive these days. This is where our accessories box was, and this is where you can mount an SSD drive or a hard drive. This actually is a nice little caddy. If I go over here, you'll see the mounting for 120 millimeter fans or radiator on the side. Cables a little bit exposed on top, not offended since they're off to the side, they're not in front, not obstructing anything. A little more penetration here if you want to run some more cables. Great to see. Again, tons of tying points all around. The cables are kind of strapped all the way down. I'll pull them to the side. And what we have here when it comes to cables, one USB 3. This is always very not convenient to use plug that I've created back in the day, but at least it's only one USB 3, so it's not a double cable, so it's a little bit easier to route around. Then we have the USB 2, the HD audio, and the rest of it is the fans. So we have the fans obviously are 4-pin PWM fans, and they are the 5-volt RGB. If I pull the cap out, you'll see 5-volt RGB here. They all can be daisy chained and plug into your favorite fan controller or straight into the motherboard. I personally prefer fan controllers. I'm moving away from motherboards and softwares and stuff like that. So this is what we have here. And obviously, this is the ribbon cable for the power switch, LED, and all that. Good thing that it's a ribbon cable kind of stuck to each other, and it's not separate little cables. That way it's easier to operate and route around. And here's the reset switch. And if I follow the cables up, on top you'll see USB 2, microphone, headphone, USB 3, reset, and the power button. Nice little clickiness on them, not big of a trouble. And we have the LEDs for the activity and if it's on or off. But once your fans are on, RGB is on, so you will know that the computer is on. Metal finish on those two, 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks and microphone jack. Interesting. Normally people or companies are painting them black, but I like that. A little old school. And if I stay on top, magnetic filter right on the top, and you can see 360 easily can be mounted here. But again, I'm going to show you that in a second. Now, power supply, obviously this is not a modular power supply, and this is some of the savings coming in here in place. Obviously, if they're giving you power supply, they're not going to give you a full-on modular power supply. And if I pull off the whole bundle of cables coming out of this power supply, cables are black, which is great. You know, we have the PCI Express, regular ones. Oddly, they have even included a Molex here. I don't know what you're going to use that these days, but they've included it. And here it is. What's the most important thing here is the 16-pin, 450 watt supply. You see, this one actually comes to about 450 watts. So technically, some of the higher level graphics cards, but personally I would not be going anywhere above maybe 5070 Ti with this power supply. Just me. Some of you might want to experiment. I'm not gonna do it. You know, we have the SATA and all that stuff. This is all included. I'm gonna remove the power supply and let's see what kind of specs we have on top of it. Power supply removed. Now we can see all of its glory. 650 watts. What do we have here? 54.1 amps on the 12-volt rail. So single 12-volt rail. This is preferable to me. I like single 12-volt rails. So 54.1 amps. Not bad at all. 80 plus gold. And here is the, again, bundle of cables here. Let me see what else we have here. A little bit more branding on the side that you're actually not going to be able to see because it's facing down. And this power supply is mounted already, so this is not visible at all. And if I look at the other side, here's the grill, one of those new grills that is kind of extending to a lower. We got the fan right on top, and we sort of can peek in, branding more. So pretty nice power supply. Actually has some heft into it. Yeah, I think for mid-range builds, this power supply will be completely sufficient, and all you need to do is just buy the rest of your components and connect the power supply. Yeah, it's not modular, but you know what? For including it in this bundle and package, I'm not offended. With the power supply out, we can see the space inside and the penetration for the air. Off the bottom of the case, the power supply sits on the rubber insulators, which is excellent. This is not a foam, and they spent some money to give you actual rubber here that it's not gonna collapse over the years. And in fact, they're using the same rubber on the feet, so this case is very hard to move on your desk, not like the ones that are coming with foam. Excellent job by Rosewill doing rubber instead of the foam. And you can see the distance here between the caddy that actually can be repositioned forward and back. This is the far forward position, can be a little bit back. And even the longest power supplies can be fitted in here. But like I mentioned, I'll be removing this, so the longest possible ever can be placed in there. So now we're gonna move to the front of the case and look at how everything is organized there. Now looking at the front of the case, interesting design here. We have entirely mesh front when it comes to the bottom. Going and 1, 2, and 3 fans are kind of exposed. The third one is half exposed, so the top portion over here is metal. I'm not sure what was the idea here. Maybe more of a structural rigidity for their side. They could have handled this a little bit better and give us even more mesh, but it's more like a design choice, I guess, plus structural rigidity. Plenty of air is going to go in from that half portion anyway, so don't worry about it. The only problem I have with this is the handle. You can see my fingers here, features that penetration on the bottom that I absolutely hate, and I have to cover with masking tape because the air, a lot of the dust will come through here and it's going to get accumulated inside, circumvening the fine mesh on the front, which is not ideal. I wish they had a notch like Antec cases that you can pull on, and you'll see the mesh is kind of extending to the side. Same goes on the opposite side here. So in general, not bad. All you need to do to pull this mesh is just pull your fingers in the bottom and then pull forward. So once you pull it away, let me lay it down flat and I'll show you some things. Plastic clips is always a little bit on cheaper side. No dust filter included, but that's fine. Just be careful every once in a while when you remove it, not to break off these plastic clips. Otherwise, it will be an issue. And yeah, that's the rest of it is just the regular stuff. Over here is the notch that I was talking about. Nothing really fancy. Let me move that to the side. Okay, so here are the fans right here. Like I said, 320 millimeter RGB fans plus the one on the back. You see there's a spot to actually mount 140 if you would like. And again, 340 fans can be mounted in the front. Personally, I'm gonna leave it the way it is, keep it more budget. They're already giving you and including those RGB fans. Why would you wanna replace them unless they're super loud? But again, if you're using your own fan controller, I don't think you're gonna have a problem with that. You can tone it down a little bit and make it as quiet as you want to be. So yeah, it's a nice organization in the front. Plenty of cutouts and penetrations for those cables to be run. So well designed, simple, at the same time functional. Now we're gonna move on to the next to the main chamber. On the main chamber, you can see a glass is extending all the way from the top to the bottom. They could have saved some money and make it kind of sort of where to the shroud for the power supply is. We have a little fabric pull on the glass. Magnets. The magnets are kind of small but holding pretty tight, and the thickness is 2.5 3 millimeters. I don't think it's anywhere more than that. Hinges, open it and slide it and take it away if you need to. And here is the inside. Now here's the space on top. Like I mentioned, plenty of space to put a 360. We'll show it in a second. The 120 in the back that can be repositioned up and down. And here is the prime feature that I really like, that caddy. As soon as you remove the screws, like I showed you in the back, you can kind of slide it, and it's not easier to slide, which is good. That way it's not going to be wobbling around once you take the screws off, but you can pull it towards you and then flip it around. So all you need to do is just rotate it a 90 degrees and place it back in, screw back everything in place, and here we are. We have a vertically mounted GPU. Now for mounting points, we have several ones here in the bottom. You can use your own riser, or you can use one of those magnetic ones I actually like, because you don't have to screw it anywhere. You can place it kind of like as close as possible, as further away as possible from the glass as you want to. Fans, I'm not going to be mounting here. I mentioned that many times before. This is kind of pointless for fans. Because the power supply takes majority of it, and these are kind of for passive air from that bottom fan blowing through here and coming up for the power for the GPU, and GPU having a little bit more air from the bottom. So I'm not a fan of these penetrations being down on the bottom, because you can see the power supply is already blocking one of them, so not ideal. The only choice is right here, so I would love them to be right here on the motherboard tray where you can actually route above. Yeah, design choice that I'm not a huge fan of. Here is the side over here where the 240 can be mounted, and let's see if my Arctic 360 will fit, and I'll try to fiddle it with one hand to see how easy it is. So if I put it right here, yeah, this is super easy. You can see 360, even the thickest ones like Arctic, goes without repositioning the fan in the back. Plenty of clearance in the front for the tubes. They're not hitting the fans or anything. They're off to the side. And if I peek underneath, you'll see I easily can see the screws for the motherboard being peaking. So motherboard can be installed, and then 360 can be installed on top without interfering with the motherboard and the tall RAM module. So yeah, that's a good design. Just enough space to fit you that 360. So what else is left here? Let me turn on the power supply. I'll plug it in, turn on. I don't think we're going to be able to see the RGB, as the RGB is dependent on your controller or motherboard, but at least I can plug in the fans and hear what kind of noise they're producing. And now I turn on the power supply. I'm going to move as close as possible and be silent, so maybe you can pick up the noise from the fans. To me, they sound very, very silent, considering there's 4 of them running on their maximum RPMs. And they seem to be pushing plenty of air. I can feel it coming inside. So this case will be well ventilated. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. If you're running at a maximum RPMs, you can definitely hear them. If you're very close, obviously not wearing headphones, but if you're in a distance, they're pretty silent. And the power supply fan is very silent. I can barely hear it spinning if I put my ear next to it. It spins constantly. It's not one of those that will disconnect, but it's very, very quiet. So yeah, let's go into the conclusion right now. All right, conclusion time. And I think Rosewill have created a pretty compelling little package with this model. And I have to say, the inclusion of the power supply and all the features of this case, I can highly recommend you getting it for $120. Again, somebody that is building a computer kind of like a mid-range, mid to higher mid-tier, plenty of space, plenty of design features that a lot of you can look for. To me, the biggest deal is the rotation of the plates in the back, so you can accommodate a vertically mounted GPU, which is excellent. Inclusion of 4 RGB fans. We have obviously the 650 watt power supply, side glass panel, rubber feet, rubber standoff. So most of the things I really like are covered here. Yeah, the power supply filter is not the best. It's one of those that you gotta squeeze in, pull away. It's not sliding, but here and there they kind of save the money. They kind of work with the budget to fit at $120. And to me, this is a winning package. I think especially if you catch them on a sale for the down couple months, maybe around Black Friday, for around $100, that's going to be a killer deal right here, because you have a case that can accommodate even the largest motherboards, power supply included, modern day power supply with a 16-pin cable, and obviously you can mount a 360, even the thickest ones from Arctic on the roof, which I'm personally looking always and measuring to make sure that these cases can fit them. So yeah, to me, this is our definite recommendation. And those of you that are looking for a bundle package that you can just get and throw the rest of your components inside without worrying too much about different power supplies, different cases and stuff like that, that's pretty compelling. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Hit the thumbs up if you like the video. Stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you're new. Check out the links in the description below. If you want to support the channel directly, it helps me tremendously to bring you videos like this regularly. And as always, guys, you have a wonderful day.